When I look back and I graduate from here, I think the thing I'm going to think most fondly of is my time here at CGI.
CGI has been a really formative part of my 3L year. There's a really great community. Professors and clinical instructors, administrative staff are so committed and willing to help and fight for your clients. So just being in that environment is really powerful and important.
It has been such a defining factor, not only of 3L, but of my whole time here at HLS. I tell every student to if you have the opportunity to be part of CGI, to do it, because you'll never regret it, and it'll probably be the highlight of your HLS experience.
CGI is really a place to become a better person, as well as a better advocate and lawyer.
CJI's mission is really a straightforward one. It is designed, our mission is designed to train and educate Harvard Law School students, 3Ls, to represent indigent individuals in Massachusetts courts who are system involved.
CJI operates very much as a public defender office does.
We are a clinic that operates 365 days, 24/7.
The students always come to CJI ready to work.
If you want to see what being a public defender is like, there's really no other clinic or experience that quite can show you the range of experiences that are involved.
I was interested in joining CJI because of my interest in working with young people. Prior to law school, I worked in child welfare social work, so working with children who are in the foster care system, and that always has inspired me to think through how do these different systems police our children, how do they look and surveil our children. So having the opportunity to work in CGI, where you get to work right in the midst of the criminal justice system, seemed really interesting to me and very important work.
So I wanted to join CJI because when I was younger, my father was incarcerated. And while that was hard on my family, I also realized it could have been much more difficult had his lawyer not believed in him and not fought for him with zealous advocacy. And I knew this would be an opportunity to be that zealous lawyer for people who need it and really help bring some parity and bring some meaning to having a Harvard education.
So during my 3L year, I was looking for a community of students to really bond with and connect with, but then also the opportunity to represent clients, to be working under incredible clinical instructors, under Professor Delia Amuna. So CJI just seemed like the perfect option to be able to serve others while also utilizing what I've learned here at HLS to accomplish that goal.
I love working with the students. They are all amazing individuals. A lot of them come with incredible passion and a really deep desire of doing the good.
CGI gives a lot of good litigation experience. It really lets you feel like you're a hands-on lawyer.
You can only fight the way you practice, and that the practice, doing an opening statement, doing a cross-examination, doing a closing argument, doing that again and again and again and again, that is the best way to become good at doing trials.
In my group alone last week, I had 2 students who were putting the finishing touches on opening statements for trial. We found ourselves in our conference room doing our final moots, blocking out where a student would plan to stand during this part, slowing down, really perfecting their in-court trial advocacy. As soon as that moot was over, that same student shifted to get on the phone to call client's mother to try to plan the client's trial wardrobe.
You can always get a call from a client at any given time, which is why it works so well that we have teams ready to respond.
If anything, our clients don't live in a vacuum. When social work is introduced, we're allowed to provide that whole picture of them.
It is almost always about how our clients feel and what we do, and not the other way around.
I have a lot of clients who have been in and out of the system for various reasons, and it's hard to see that one client can have had a number of past cases and that gets used against them repeatedly. And so you see those effects happen if they do happen to have another case. So they're trying to get housing, and how much that involvement really does make their life challenging, and why it's so important to work collaboratively with social workers on their team, with other service providers for that individual and their family to the extent that that's relevant, so that you can help this person get out of their situation and onto something better.
The important part of social work is that we really try to meet the client where they're at, and also try to merge what the courts are asking, what the lawyers are asking, and what the client wants.
The legal side and the social work side always working together, making sure that we have the same goals, the same ideas, making sure that we are fulfilling the mission not only of the clinic, but more importantly of the client, and ensuring that the client's goals, both legal and social, are met.
Student attorneys at CJI have incredibly close supervision and a safety net that is just below them at all times.
The way I supervise the students here is I really empower the students to take the lead on the cases from start to finish. I'm here as a sounding board, I'm here for guidance, for mentorship, but I want them to feel accountable to the client and be the lead attorney and almost take a second seat position to their work.
I do a lot of listening with my students, and I encourage my students to do a lot of listening with their clients, to truly talk with and listen to their clients long before they are asking their clients questions because they need the answers.
It was my very first day in court. We were doing arraignments, and I was given a case that we believed was really strong for pre-arraignment dismissal, but the Commonwealth refused to do so. And this client, without giving out too much information, is just someone near in age to myself, and was her first time going through the system. And the judge refused to listen to our argument or to stay the arraignment. And it stuck with me for a really, really long time because we lost that argument, and now she was a part of the criminal law system, and once you're a part of the criminal law system, it's sometimes very hard to get out of it. But she is the one we ended up getting pretrial probation for, which, given the circumstances, is the best outcome. And it was really rewarding to be able to tell her that, like, you're going to have an incredible future, and I know it, and I hope that you believe in yourself, and I believe in you. And I think it's something that I'm going to remember probably for the rest of my life.
The most impactful experience was getting my client released from custody. He was being detained on bail, and we got him released. So that was really awesome.
Definitely one of my clients who has a lot of anxiety around going to court, understandably so, because it's very scary to know that you can show up to court to clear a warrant and maybe you'll go home and maybe you won't. But I worked with this client's social worker, got them to come for the first time, I think in almost a year, or at least 8 or 9 months. And he came to court and we talked through what I was gonna say. I tried to assure him the best I could and told him I'd fight as much as possible. And being in that moment where the judge was kind of like on the fence, but backing up with letters of support, pointing out his social workers in the audience and saying that my client is here ready to take on the case and has all the support system, so please do not incarcerate my client, was something that was really powerful. And the judge agreed, which was a wonderful outcome. So our client was not incarcerated that day, and that was something that was really impactful, just to see the relief that he had and the trust that was built in that moment, because he knew that I was there to fight for him. And that's what I was trained to do by all the instructors of the program, and something that I was really happy to be able to succeed in doing.
When I went to visit this client who was jailed for about 6 months of my representation, I was very happy about having met my client. At least, it was the first time we'd met, but I was leaving and I didn't know how exactly to exit that room and that whole space on the 6th floor of the jail. So I knocked on the warden's door and I was like, could you please help me get out? And he looked at me, he was like, oh, you don't know how to get out? And I said, well, it's actually my first time here. And he said, oh, no worries. He helped me, and 5 seconds later he goes, you'll be back. And sure enough, I've been back too many times. I shouldn't have had to meet that client in jail because he shouldn't have been stuck in jail. But I think it also just speaks to what the CJI experience has really showed to me, that the system just ensures that certain people are thrown back into it,
It is one thing to see mass incarceration actually happen, to see what it means for voices to not be heard, for people to be poorly represented, for judges to treat human beings like numbers. And having that personal experience coupled with an intellectual understanding, I think really drives home the importance for change in this area in a way that I think if anybody sat in Roxbury Court, for example, for 4 hours, I think their minds about the criminal justice system would be very different than they would be not having had that experience.
Be that person standing between them and prison, or them and incarceration, or even if it's fines, whatever it is, it's the government trying to take away something critical to them, and you're really the only person that's there standing in the way of that. And that's a really powerful experience that I don't feel like you can usually get in law school.
I love the community. I love my colleagues. Even though we have different roles, we always find time to assist one another.
CJI is a great clinic. It's a great opportunity for those that really want to make a change and an impact in today's world.
I want students who are not indifferent, who are not complicit, who have empathy, who understand that it's a privilege to represent someone.
I watch the third-year law students become lawyers before my very eyes.
You just need your heart, a little bit of passion, and then you should come and do CJI.
I love that with every student, with every client, with every case, there's a wonderful story to tell, and there are amazing lessons to be learned. We're kept on our toes every single day, if not every single minute of the day. As you can tell, I wouldn't trade that for the world.